So let me introduce today's speaker. So it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome and introduce today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Chaminda Hewaji. So professor he is associate professor, also reader in Cardiff School of Technologies at Cardiff Metropolitan University, UK, where he is also the program director for computer security. He received a doctorate from his research work in multimedia communications from the University of Surrey, UK. He was awarded with a gold medal for his best performance in engineering by the University of Ruhana for his achievements in undergraduate studies. Professor also has industry experience. He worked as a telecommunications engineer at Sri Lanka Telecommunication Private Limited. He is also the recipient of prestigious overseas research scholarship award by the Higher Education Funding Council of England in order to pursue his doctoral studies at UK. Professor also holds a postgraduate certificate in higher education, teaching and learning from Kingston University, London, and is a fellow of Higher Education Academy, UK. He has also contributed to the research as a reviewer and also as an author of reputed journals, and he was also reviewer for the conference articles. And so with us, we also have with us today Mr. Philip Steedman, who is a military officer, Royal Corps of Signals Research and Development Unit, the British Army, who will be accompanying Dr. Chaminda Hawaji, sir. So it is a great privilege and honor for us to have such a great academician as well as a researcher. So, with our request, sir has agreed to share his expertise in machine learning for cyber security assessment and mitigation. So, I hope the participants will get a great benefit from sir's expertise as well as the expertise of Mr. Philip. So, I welcome sir as well as Mr. Philip Steedman for this ATAL sponsored FTP. Thank you, sir, and over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Sujata, for the kind introduction, as well as thank you for the invitation to join this session. And we have been working with Kanara Engineering College for like 2-3 years now under the MOU with Mangalore University for Responsible AI. I think we have visited Kanara 2-3 times together with my colleagues as well. So it would be good to deliver this session as well. So with myself, Phil Stedman will join to deliver the session together. So initially, I will cover some general trends in cybersecurity happening at the moment and the role in AI and machine learning, especially for what are the threats associated with AI and machine learning, as well as what are the mitigation measures we can use using AI as well. So that will be the main themes of my initial 30 minutes or so, and then Phil will do 30 minutes, and then we'll do a Q&A session at the end. So that's the plan. Sujata, can you see my slides as well? Yep, that's fine. So I can start the presentation. So as Sujata mentioned, I'm working for Cardiff Metropolitan University as an associate professor in data security, as well as the associate dean for research. And our research at School of Technologies is based on cross-cutting themes: data science, AI, security, software, hardware, and sustainability. So we have 5 active research centers within the school and 2 research groups as well. So one of the research centers I am closely involved is Cybersecurity and Information Network Center, where we do more research related to cybersecurity, the quality of security, quality of experience, more about the multimedia kind of transmission, as well as quality of privacy. So there's a huge security threat or privacy risk associated with AI or ChatGPT kind of technologies. So, what are the implications? What are the mitigation measures, and so on? So, those are the themes that we are working on at the moment. So, as I said during this talk, I will talk about the current status, data trends, and bit on Gen AI and data protection. If you have enough time during this session, and towards the end, we'll conduct a Q&A session as well. Uh, I'm not going to open this link. I think you all may know the live cyber attacks you can view through Checkpoint threat map. So even as of now, if you go to these kind of websites, you can see the current threats taking place uh, in the across the world as well. Give me, I hope you can see this. So these are the cyber attacks taking place as of now between different countries and different types of malware as well. So this is an indication that it is an ongoing issue, and there are different types of attacks, malware, and the target organizations are different as well: education institutes, government, telecommunication, and so on, and mobile adware, phishing. You can see different types of attacks in these maps as well. So likewise, so many things happening even now, and some are supported by the latest surge or hype in AI and AI activities as well. And of course, you can use it AI for detecting against such attacks as well. So the after that, I will cover few such prominent attacks. I think 2017 there was a WannaCry ransomware attack for NHS UK, National Health Service. I think so many computers were blocked, so the doctors, healthcare professionals couldn't access patient data. And so on. Because of that, several operational procedures were postponed and so on. So this is one of the key attacks happened to a national infrastructure or critical services in a country. So not only they will steal money, but that will impact patient health, and that will disrupt the work of different sections of the society as well. And likewise, SolarWind supply chain attack, I think this was impacted many federal uh, organizations in America and many companies across the world as well, because the virus or the malicious software was included in a DLL, and it was supplied to it was within one of the monitoring software supplied by SolarWind, and it affected many computers across the globe. And there was a ransomware attack to a German university. I think there was a death associated with it because the hackers wanted to attack a nearby university, but by mistake they attacked the near attached hospital, and because of that, patient needs to be transferred to another hospital, and that patient died. So this kind of they attribute it to like the first cyber ransomware attack related death in this domain. And also now increasingly there are cyber attacks again critical national infrastructures like water treatment, power grid, uh, oil refineries, and so on, because that can affect a large population of a country. I think there was attack in Florida, water treatment plant attack. So they try to increase the some chemical level in the water, and luckily one of the operators identified that someone is trying to increase the percentage of that change the pH level of the water, and they managed to uh, stop that particular one. But if that happens, I think that would have been a disastrous situation. So likewise, there can the increasingly the attackers are targeting national infrastructure. So those can be driven by nation actors as well. They are not interested in money or reward, but they can be those attacks can be supported by different countries and so on as well. And there were again colonial pipeline hack in USA, which affected the eastern pipeline in America, and that halted many, disrupted the services of the society for a couple of days. I think that's this also attributed to critical national infrastructure attack. There were some attacks related to Electoral Commission in UK in 2023, and there was another attack to National Health Service in 2024. Again, so many operations were cancelled and so on. And more recently in 2025, there were attacks to supermarket chains. First one was for Mark and Spencer. So they stopped online purchases, click and collect services, and they expect that they will be hit by 300 million uh, bill because of this particular attack. Similar attack happened to a cooperative supermarket again in UK. And when you step into the shop in the morning to buy milk, and there was a notice saying that no milk because of a cyber attack, because there were supply chains were blocked, and no supplies were coming to the supermarket, and there were notices that because of disruption there are no supplies in the supermarket. So this is how the cyber attacks can impact general public and mass populations. So it is not anymore they want just the reward than money. They're going for the disrupting the society, activity economy, and so on. And in UK, they carry out a cybersecurity breaches survey every year. So these are the stats from 2025. I'm sure there are surveys similar to in India as well. So out of that, about 43% businesses reported having some form of cybersecurity breach or attack, and it is same for I think if you look at the large businesses, the percentage is very high. But if it is a small business, because large businesses means more money, more reward for the hackers. So compare it is incomparable to 2024 as well. And they also attack charities, because someone could wonder why people want to attack charities, but charities do have money as well, big payroll and so on. So they attack charities, and 20-30% of charities reported they had a attempt, or they had been attacked through a cybersecurity event. And they do also target educational institutes. So primary school, 44% of the primary schools reported, and if you when it comes to the universities, it is 91%. This may be, I don't know, because it may be driven by money, or sometimes when you deliver cybersecurity courses, you have red networks, dirty labs for students to practice ethical hacking and so on. There were instances in UK that those students managed to hack into the corporate network of the university as well. So these are increasingly popular and common as well. And one of the intention may be to steal personal data of the students and so on. And if you look at the type of attacks, more prevailing ones are phishing attacks. As you can see in 2024 on the left-hand side, 2025, phishing attack, impersonations, 34%, 85% of the attacks were phishing attacks, malware 18%. But if you look at this carefully, you can see most of the attacks are related to social engineering, phishing, and so on, not too technical attacks. For example, hacking or malware, ransomware, it is just 6%. So with the tools like ChatGPT, these kind of attacks will be more prevail in the future, because anyone can craft a good phishing email, promising email, authentic email, and they can make someone to click a malicious link and so on. And of course, there's a cost associated with the attack. If something happen, you have to take down those servers. Your business will be interrupted. So on average, for a in UK, each company lose £1,600. But if it is a bigger company, the cost is much higher. But this is just the average. But if you take individual cost, it will be much higher. And if it is an attack with an outcome, so let's say they manage to get away with data, you had to pay ransom, the cost of a breach is much higher than a normal scenario. And training and awareness is very important as well. I think as some of us are from higher education institutes, colleges, and schools, you may all know about the importance of training and awareness when it comes to cybersecurity. I think we all teach about cyber cube. So what is important when it comes to information, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and in what states they are in at a given time. Of course, they can be being processed or being stored or being transmitted. So those are the states they can be. And what you can do to protect it, of course, awareness and training and education comes first, and then the technology. Because most of us think it is the technology that can protect information, but you need awareness so as well, and then the policies, procedures, and compliance. So likewise, if you have these three security measures, you can secure your information. So from the same survey, they identified that about 19% of businesses are carrying out cybersecurity and training awareness. The percentage is larger if it is a larger business, and it is same for the charities as well. So this is a year-on-year comparison for 2025 and 2024. And in this regard, we do conduct awareness training in cybersecurity, supported by the UK government. I'm sure it may be same in India as well. You go to the schools, you go to colleges, and talk about new threats, new changes in cybersecurity, how to protect from them. So we received close to £1 million funding from UK government to visit communities and run these workshops, not only on cybersecurity, robotics, AI, and so on, STEM subjects. So this is a team of us going to different communities as well. And some of us are lecturers and some are our PhD students, so they can earn some additional money by involving in these projects as well. So we also go to schools and we run after school clubs, STEM competitions. So these are the some robotic competitions we ran, Lego competitions. So all are supported by the UK government shared prosperity fund. And we also conduct sessions for the employers or businesses. For example, on the left hand side, IoT uses in different fields, and this is a micro credential cybersecurity awareness course on the right hand side. And we also advertise if a business needs any guidance or advice, they can come to the university or our research group to get some advice as well. I think the short courses are getting popular. Micro credential, it may be same in India, so they can accumulate this credit and get a certificate, diploma, or degree. So they don't need to follow a proper degree program. They can accumulate credits as you go on and complete a degree as well. And we also work with the communities. I mean, we run workshops in the communities, in rural communities, and ask what they think about ChatGPT, what they think, what are the good things, what are the bad things, what they can innovate in this space, and what are the challenges, and so on. So these are very interesting sessions, and because if the community is not aware, and if the school population is the young learners are not aware about the latest threats, it's difficult to tackle them. And so that's why the UK government is supporting these workshops in the community to make sure that everyone is up to date and they also become lifelong learners, when it comes to technology and other things. And we also do run similar awareness sessions with the other countries as well. I think, as I said, we visited Mangalore a couple of times, visiting and delivering capacity building workshops, research seminars, and so on. Similarly, we went to Saudi Arabia, King Abdulaziz University in Jeddah, as well as we had partnerships with Pakistan to uh, increase the uptake of women and girls into cybersecurity, because there's a less girls and women representation in STEM in general. So these projects were supported by British Council to make sure that we can do something that together in this space to include more women and girls in cybersecurity. And we also ran some international seminars like this previously as well. And related to the cyber awareness training, so again, you know that sometimes even when in your workplace you get so many emails to do cyber awareness training, but you don't do it. But we have applied for some funding to do a research project on how we can make sure that the employees will follow this cybersecurity awareness training willingly. And we are trying to devise like use collective intelligence, like agent based system, to make sure that we identify the workload, their emotions, the employee emotions, and their schedule, the complexity of the task, to make sure to nudge them on an appropriate time so that they will follow the training in order to increase the uptake of these trainings, as well as improve the effectiveness of these trainings. So this is a we are waiting for funding to run this program, do this program to make sure these trainings are effective in a workplace. A bit more about the current status. So this is these stats based on IBM Data Breach Survey 2025. They are running data breach surveys for last 20 years and considered as one of the uh, good surveys to identify trends. So they surveyed 600 organizations across 17 industries and 16 different countries. So as you can see, on average, data breach cost has come down from 2024 to 2025, from 4.88 million to 4.44. They attribute this to the use of AI and automation so that they can quickly detect an attack and quickly recover from that attack as well. And again, the cost of the data breach will go high if it is healthcare, and if it is for other industries, it is much less as well. Because when it comes to healthcare, there are some other regulations like HIPAA, so there will be fines from the regulator and so on. And a number of days, mean time to identify an attack, mean time to contain an attack. So it has come down from 2017 to 2025. So that also they attribute it to the use of AI and automation tools, so they can tackle cybersecurity attacks much faster and easier. And they break down the data breach cost into the business cost, detection and escalation cost, notification, and so on. So it changes from one company to another as well. And of course, there will be regulatory fines. I think, even in India, they introduce a data protection bill. So if you process personal data and if you do something bad with it, you will be faced fines. So from the organization they surveyed, 32% reported they had to pay regulatory fines. You can see the larger fines were paid by 25% of those organizations, more than $250,000. And if you go to the GDPR fine tracker, GDPR applies to European Union countries. You can see I think this happened in 2023. I hope you can see this website. They fined Meta, Facebook, 1.2 billion. Meta was head office was in Ireland, and they breached insufficient legal basis for data processing. You know that cookies and other things appear on your website. So whether you give the consent or whether it is legitimate interest, if you don't follow those things, the GDPR or whoever the regulator in your country can uh, can fine you. I mean, especially if you are a European citizen and living in somewhere else, still that law will be valid as a European citizen. You can see larger fines, and there are some big fines to UK as well. I think mainly for British Airways and some other big organizations as well. So it is proportional to the value of the company, and the fines are very large, as you know. It is 20%. Uh, it's 20 million or 4% of your annual turnover. So these fines are very large as well. And out of the breaches involving AI, and so many companies reported there are breaches, security breaches involving AI. So 30% said they are based on supply chain attacks. So the AI-based tool came from a supplier, and that impacted the security breach. And the 22% confirm it is a model inversion attacks, model evasion 21%, prompt injection 17%, data poisoning 15%. So these are the different types of attack they had noticed. And what happened with the AI based attack? Operational disruptions 31%, unauthorized access to sensitive data 31%, loss of data integrity, financial loss, reputational damage 17%. So you can see increasingly there are AI related attacks, and they cost companies money and other things. And one of the key trend is the use of shadow AI. As we all do now, we use some sort of AI in day-to-day life, like ChatGPT or Copilot, and sometimes we use them to summarize certain documents, and some used to scan CVs and so on. And then these shadow AI tools, these are not certified by your organization. You are using third-party tools, so these can uh, add additional risk to the organization. So I think they are a bit more worried about these shadow AI risk, data privacy. This can cause data breaches. We don't know about their models, AI model biases, lack of transparency. So these models can produce inaccurate and inappropriate data outputs, and the compliance violations. If you are using third-party tools in your organization, I think you may be violating the regulations in your organization, as well as you may end up being fired as well, because you're violating your employment contract as well. So shadow AI is a very big risk for everyone at present, not only for businesses. And in the same surveys, they mentioned that customer PII means personally identifiable information. So 65% of the attacks are based on shadow AI, the use of ChatGPT, Copilot, or anything else. Employee PII, personal information, other corporate data, intellectual property, anonymized customer data. So you can see, if you're using shadow AI, the risk is much larger when it comes to customer data. And also it adds 200K US dollars, 200K into the value of the data breach as well. So if you are allowing employees to use shadow AI within your organization, you need to be very careful, because they can add added risk into the workplace. And what kind of AI governance frameworks they have? So across the surveyed companies, they mentioned that 45% of the organizations have strict approval processes for AI deployment. If you can't just bring an AI tool and use it in an organization, you should have a proper governance framework to make sure that they produce the required results, accurate results, and they are not revealing unnecessary data and so on. And there are employee training of AI risk, 36%, regular audits, 34%, adversarial testing, 22%. And some of the companies use third-party security audits to audit these AI tools. 50% of the organizations carry out internal risk assessment, and 38% use automated AI risk assessment tools as well when you are purchasing AI tools to your organization. So these are the data based on the survey. So you can see many companies want to use AI. So that's what we call it AI bubble, but at the same time, they want to make sure they produce the right result and they are responsible, they are transparent, and they are trustworthy. So that's why they're worried and they take necessary precautions to make sure they produce the right thing. Uh, yeah, that's the first part of my talk. I will talk few more minutes, and before I hand over to my colleague Phil. Uh, so apart from that, the latest development, Gen AI bubble, is affecting cybersecurity, personal privacy, data protection. They are talking about 3D Facebook, metaverse, and of course, there's a big push for responsible AI. I think we uh, we created a cluster between Mangalore and Cardiff Met related to responsible AI to research on different aspects of responsible AI, explainable AI, and there's I think if you are a researcher, you may know about neurosymbolic AI. So it has a big uptake at the moment because neurosymbolic AI use the best of both worlds, the neuro based better prediction as well as symbolic AI, like logical representation, to make sure that they produce the logical results, not crazy results. So neurosymbolic AI models can explain the results, what is happening through the model, and you can explain the outcomes as well. So there are lots of research going on in neurosymbolic AI. And there are some regulations coming up. I think EU AI Act, I think they enacted last year, end of last year. And also ISO management standard on AI 42001. So these standards are there to make sure that we handle AI tools responsibly and they produce the required results and they don't harm individuals or violate human individual rights. As well as similar to GDPR, data protection, there's another new regulation in EU called Network Information System 2 Directive, which is applicable for critical national infrastructures like power grid, energy, and health services, water treatment, transport, and digital service providers like search engines, Amazon, eBay, that kind of services. Because if something happened to these kind of services, the impact is much large. So if you're operating such, or if you are a work employee or employee or lead director or leader in that kind of setting, so you should adhere to some more strict security guidelines because if something goes wrong that will impact a larger population, so they have certain directive and you have to pay a huge fine as well. So this is coming into effect. I'm sure in other part of the country including India, they are shadowing a similar regulation to make sure that their critical national infrastructures are safe and doing well under emerging attacks. LLMs, ChatGPT, I think you know that for the education institutes, it's becoming a bit of a headache. At the same time, we are learning to live with it. We don't ban AI or ChatGPT or LLMs in universities, but we ask students to use it positively, summarize ideas, search new knowledge, and so on. And you may have seen the Google CEO's recent talk just before Christmas. They said don't trust AI outcomes, but check the facts as well using Google or some other search engines as well. So even the producers of Gemini 3, if their CEO is saying don't trust these LLM technologies, that means there's some problem with it. So you should be responsible. You should know how best to use that kind of tools as well. And there are good things and bad things. Of course, these LLMs can create lots of misinformation and disinformation and bias. It can affect political situations and conflict situations, like, for example, Russia and Ukraine. Before the war even began, they started the information campaign, misinformation, disinformation against each other, invading privacy, of course, deep fakes, face subs, and phishing attacks can be scripting, pen testing, and open source intelligence. So there will be positive usage as well as the negative use as well. And it is very easy with the ChatGPT kind of tool now to use it to devise a security policy. And these are few prompts I tried with ChatGPT. And you can create a very compelling phishing email using these kind of create a fake profile, website or social media. So here I ask name 10 full Welsh names for someone age 21. So it gives 10 Welsh names for someone 21. Then I asked it to create some usernames for the 21-year-old. So you can see they created a good usernames with the age in it. And then I asked it to create a profile. So it can create a very authentic profile for a 21-year Welsh uh, uh, person. And you can use these kind of profiles for writing a good phishing email as well. And this is from SANS Institute researcher. So he asked ChatGPT to give a fuzzing code in NTLM authentication fuzzing against a web server. Initially, it refused to give the code, but when it says it is for a teaching purpose, and this is kind of a prompt injection attack, and then it reveal a code. You can use this code to fuzz a server, and you can see username and passwords are hard coded, and then the researcher asks it to improve to read the usernames and password from a file and so on. So likewise, you can improve the code as well. And increasingly, of course, the in the software industry, coding, programming students, and even in the industry, they use these tools to make sure to create the initial working of any program as well. And with these kind of tools, the scripted will be a bigger problem because the majority of the hackers are considered to be script kiddies, so they don't create their own codes. Scripts, they borrow codes from the internet and so on, and they try for different types of hacking and so on. So these kind of attacks will be more prevailing in the future. And of course, you have to understand the limitations and bias of LLMs. As CEO of the Google said, you can't fully trust because we don't know what kind of data they are trained on. So if you're planning to use a subversion of it, you should make sure that you are training them on the good data set and so on. And there were scenarios where some people put sensitive information into these kind of platforms, and they were revealed to some other users who were logged in at the same time. And Gen AI is making their round as well at the moment, and these things can create lots of personal privacy issues, data protection issues, and so on. Of course, there are good usage of deep fake kind of technology, generative AI, education, entertainment, expression, innovation aspects as well. Of course, there can be malicious aspect, threat to individual, threat to business, threat to the society, threat to the nation as well. And the generation, there are two different types of generation: visual deep fakes, audio deep fakes, text to speech synthesis, voice conversion, and of course, identity swap. And visual deep fakes are more common. As if you log into any social media, Instagram or Facebook, you can see many of them. And yeah, so there are different, but we should make whenever we are using these kind of tools, we should make sure that we use them responsibly and we are not violating the individual rights. Even if you are an individual person, if you are processing someone's personal data, you are liable to pay the data protection fines in your own country as well. Of course, there are deepfake detection. These are few: visual deepfake detection or audio deepfake detection. Of course, you can do it in different domains: spatial, temporal domain, frequency domain, and so on. So these are very good research areas, both detection as well as creation, generation as well. Very, very hot topics at the moment when it comes to research and innovation. We also recently received a grant from Airbus for detection of AI generated text, because some text can be fully AI generated, some may be half, some may be only few words change. So how you can generate detect that kind of scenario, and they want to us to try not only English, some other languages as well. But this is mainly for military purposes, for misinformation and disinformation campaigns against different countries and so on. And of course, these deep fakes, I think TikTok may be banned in India as well. So what they said, there may be political agenda, but some say that they are using these images and videos to train face SOP and deep fake models further, because your model is as good as your data. So they want more data in order to make them more accurate and make them more accurate. And LLMs, ChatGPT, they have been trained on publicly available data. But what happens if Facebook give all of your personal data for such a model, and then they will train on your data as well, and then it will start invading privacy as well. I think this happened. I can't remember the exact year, 2023. The magazine publisher interview with Michael Schumacher, but later they found out that it is a AI generated conversation, and then the Michael Schumacher's family sued this magazine as well. So these kind of things, these kind of uh, developments will be more common in the future as well. So personal data, protecting personal data is very important, and you should know your rights. You should know that you can ask Facebook to delete your data and give you a copy of your data. And this all comes with the data protection laws in your country. GDPR is the first such law in 2018 across Europe. And based on that initial data protection law, the many countries started, including India, Sri Lanka, they started enacting data protection laws. And there are some good aspects in there, in addition to the main principle data protection impact assessment. Let's say if you are doing any processing which can impact individuals' rights, you should carry out a data protection impact assessment. Let's say you have a AI tool to scan CVs in your organization. You should make sure that that AI tool is good and they are doing the right job and they are not omitting any CVs, which will be disadvantage for particular individuals. And it is same for there are different categories. If you are processing biometric information, if you are processing CCTV camera data, and so on, and health related data as well, and as well as criminal record data. If someone be into the prison and you are processing that personal data, and if we serve the sentence and looking for a job, I think you shouldn't disadvantage that person because of the data says that he's been to the prison. So these kind of avenues are there in these data protection acts to make sure that we don't violate individual rights through the processing of personal data, and as well as the rights you have in order to be right to be forgotten, uh, and whether you want to keep your data within your territory, data localization, and so on. So these are very good principles, which will be good to tackle the the threats created by AI and other tools. And of course, technology will help. Data loss prevention technologies, privacy enhancing technologies like anonymization, pseudonymization, federated learning. I think it will be a very popular topic at the moment. You train your models at edge devices, and then you update the parameters global model in a central place. So then you won't transfer the personal data to the central place. So the model train on a distributed pattern. So that will save. That will protect the personal information. And fully homomorphic encryption, you can uh, process the data in the encrypted domain, attribute-based encryption. So these are very good technological measures as well. Related related to attribute-based encryption, we are also received some funding from Airbus to implement a system based on attribute-based encryption, so where it combines both access control and the encryption. So if you have the right attributes only, you will be able to decrypt that data. If you are a student, you can decrypt, for example, you can decrypt certain data. If you are a academic or a faculty member, you can decrypt because it is based on your attributes. And we are trying to implement that on post-quantum safe algorithm. So we are using ring learning with error-based algorithm to implement this system to protect privacy as well. And I mentioned about EU AI Act, which came to effect. So they don't allow certain Applications for acceptable risk, for example, social scoring systems, CV scanning tools, they will consider as high risk applications and limited risk and minimal risk. So they will categorize if it is unacceptable risk, they won't allow such applications to be used in that company or in that particular country. So I'm sure similar laws or acts will come in other countries in the near future as well. And then the best practice guidelines, ISO announced intelligent AI management system, like I think 9001 is very common. Quality management system. Now they have the security management system, ISO 27001. And now they have implemented AI management system. If you are developing such systems, AI systems, or if you are using AI systems, you can make sure that you evaluate their risk opportunities, and you make sure that you follow the right procedures, and if there are amendments or continual improvement actions, you take them seriously as well. So if you're a company heavily using AI, if something happened and there's a regulatory fine is pending, if you show them that we had AI ISO 42001, we followed all the procedures, guidelines, and this is just a mistake. So then they will consider it as a very good practice, even though this happened, but they, as a company, they followed the right guidelines. So, yeah, and to conclude, so these are few of our publications. I think the responsible AI conference we are running with some Karnataka universities and cybersecurity conference, and we also published 2 books on data protection, Post-Pandemic Society and Data Protection, the Wake of AI and Machine Learning. Yeah, so these are some publications we did as a group, and these are few references. Yeah, I'll hand over to Phil. Phil, are you here?
Hello, Shami, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent.
You can share the slides, Phil, if you are ready.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. I don't know whether you were at the beginning, Phil. Sujata introduce you to the audience. I think you can do a brief introduction at the beginning and then start straight away.
No problem. Right, is that presenting?
Yep, I can see it, Phil. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Hi, everyone. My name is Phil Stedman. I'm a PhD researcher at the Cardiff Metropolitan University. I'm a part-time student. My main job, as in many roles, is a solutions architect for the government. I'm also an army officer in a research and development unit. My research is very much based around an investigation on how we can look at malware, but using image recognition. And that's been done quite a few times. What I want to do is I want to really shrink it down to like your Raspberry Pi size, and then even further to ESP32s, as we're getting more and more data connected with our vehicles and our planes and boats, and the argument for real estate, everyone's fighting for a bit of space, and so we have to try and get these components as small as we possibly can. So the key points of this is we looked at Raspberry Pis. It's all about malware, image recognition, and obviously the big key one here is the artificial intelligence. So I started my journey 3 years ago, not knowing much about AI. I knew how to code. I knew in my day job all about security and Raspberry Pis as a hobby, and I had to bring it all together. So I started off, and what I did is I built quite a rudimentary lab here. So I've got I had a number of Raspberry Pis. I then networked them together, and I put a firewall in, just because I was dealing with malware at the time, and I didn't really know how it was going to go. Kind of wanted to protect my, my house, my TV, my mobile phone that's connected to the same Wi-Fi. So what I did is I built this very rudimentary lab and installed things like Jupyter Lab and played around with malware. It quickly became apparent that my research was going to go into image recognition. So when I converted my malware to images, things became a lot safer, and you'll see later on. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to learn about AI, what was already out there, and I watched quite a few YouTube videos, read some blogs, read some papers, and I'll just play these. Hopefully these come through. Can you, Cherry, I can see your face. Do you thumbs up if you can see the video?
Yeah, I can see the
Yeah,
video.
okay, awesome. Yeah, so that's me. So that's me and my missus. We were just mucking around with the Raspberry Pi, which had an AI hat on it. So that one was just recognizing parts of the framework of the body. And then this one, you can see I'm about to enter the screenshot, and it's detecting a person. It's a really nice day then. It's now very, very cold here, very rainy. Definitely not that weather. So I started off playing around with how AI works and Raspberry Pi, just to try and understand it. Okay, so now we're going to get onto the image recognition. And what I wanted to do is I first of all knew that I needed to create a small model with only a few layers. But I couldn't go straight into doing malware as an image because I wouldn't know if it was predicting right, if the engine that I'd created was actually doing as it said. So what I did is I downloaded from it was actually Google Images. It was a little plugin you can put on Chrome, and you put in happy faces, and then you just download say 300 of those, and you put in sad faces, and you download 300 of those, and then you put them in different folders. But what I could do then is I could, as a human, see that I had happy faces, and it predicted that it was happy. Or it incorrectly predicted, and then I knew my model was wrong. It would give me a sad face because I can see a smiley face or a sad face, and then I could read the text. So once I knew my engine was correct, I could then start using malware as an image. Now I've got a data set of 25 families. There's about 9,000 images in here. When I started training this on the Raspberry Pi, it kept crashing. It was just too much information for it to digest through. I tried using the AI hat, but that at the time the libraries weren't available for convoluted neural networks. It was only for YOLO, you only look once, which is what the videos you saw earlier. So all the training had to be done either on a MacBook, which is I'm on right now, or I moved over to my desktop, which has a big GPU in it. It's like a gaming PC. And I could train the models much easier. I could save the models, and then I could upload those to the Raspberry Pi, and then I could test with some test data. The thing that amazed me was even with a 3-layer model, I was getting near 100%, which I was like, wow, I'm onto something here. And the other researchers had done this as well. So I had to go one better. So what I started doing is I started looking into all the optimizers. So within convoluted neural networks, you've got gradient descent, Adams. There's loads of them. So I started trying to work out which ones were which, and other researchers had done this as well. So I wanted to see if I could outdo these other researchers using their optimizers, but on my model. And as you can see, the Raspberry Pi 5, which is the latest one as of well, it still is the latest one. I think 6 is coming out next year. This had an accuracy of 100% with a precision of over 95%, which I was like, wow, that's amazing. Time to get my hands dirty again. So what I did is I bought a 10-inch rack, and I put the Raspberry Pis in there properly. It was easier to move the cable management. I didn't have dog hair everywhere. And I could move it around. It was much nicer. So, but I also added to this, and what you can't see in that in this image is I also started looking into RISC-V, and I think that's my next slide. It is. How good is that? So, Raspberry Pi works off the ARM chipset. Now, RISC-V has been around quite a while, and it's an open source chipset, but it has only really started kicking off in the last couple of years to compete with the likes of the ARM architecture. Now, they've come up with some funky names. The one that we're looking at, the blue board, is called the Orange Pi RV2, and the chipsets are fairly similar. There are obviously, you can see some differences here. It's got two NICs. Ultimately, they're about the same size, and I started doing my research on that. Now, the problem I had was convoluted neural networks. The application set I was using was called TensorFlow, which is it's all part of the Python library. Now, this didn't work on RISC-V because the RISC-V used the their chipset, which didn't support TensorFlow. So what I had to do is I had to convert my models into an open source model, which is Open Neural Network Exchange, the ONNX. It actually wasn't that difficult. It's a TensorFlow package. And what you do is you train your model in TensorFlow, you export it, and then you say, right now, can you convert this to an ONNX model? And what I'd done is I'd used Jupyter Labs. If you've never used that, it's a brilliant program for writing Python where you can repeat steps. It's all web-based. And I literally I'd have all my code and I'd just say, right, run it all, and it would train all my data, and then it would kick out an ONNX file for me. That's what was really, really good to see was the RISC-V, the Orange Pi, did really, really well actually. Slightly less in its F1 scores compared to the Raspberry Pi 5. So these were the outputs of that. However, now this is the kicker. The inference time, the time that it took to churn through the data, was massively more. It was like I've written it down the bottom, 9.1 times. Well, the Raspberry Pi was 9.1 times faster. So there's obviously there's room for improvement for RISC-V, but I think it's something worthwhile to keep our eye on. It's going to be things like cars and automobiles and IoT, where engineers have actually got access to the open source chipset rather than using the libraries of an ARM chipset. I think it's something that we need to keep an eye on, and it'd be quite interesting to see how this technology improves. I wanted to make this go smaller. I wanted to see how small could I get my AI model to run. So here we've got an ESP32 S3. I had to remember then I bought loads of them and toasted quite a few at the same time. And what I did is, using that ONNX model, I then converted it into a binary, because these are microprocessors, not not like your ARM or your RISC-V where you've got an operating system. They literally just run code. I'd originally put my files on AWS S3, and I just pulled them down using the Wi-Fi, but I realized that was actually affecting some of my results, some of the latency. I couldn't work out the inference times, my power. I was getting different types of power reading. So I actually went out and I got an SD card reader. And using SCI, I just connected the SD card to the ESP32. So then my data was local, and I'd removed that element of uncertainty. So now when I was reading the power metrics and I was reading the inference times, I knew that it was constant, and I wasn't having the Wi-Fi or the internet to deal with. So what I had to do to get this to work is, first of all, like the previous data sets, I got my data sets, I trained it on the models. I trained the convoluted neural models, I converted it to TensorFlow, and then this is where it pans out. I'm still in the top box here. I had to convert some of those images to binary, and they got loaded onto an SD card, and the others remained as they were in PNG format, and they stayed on the TF-like model. Then what would happen is the model would get loaded onto the ESP32 S3, but the binary images got loaded onto the SD card. Now, there's a reason why I had to do that. These ESP32s are good at doing small things very well. They're not good at doing multiple things many, many times. And to convert a PNG to a binary and then run it through an AI engine, it just like, it's too much for me. So what I did, I took one of those steps away from it. I'd done the conversion to binary beforehand, and I checked it. Now, to make sure that my data was correct, I did run this on a Ubuntu server before I did it onto the ESP32 to make sure that the metrics were same and that I hadn't I hadn't done anything different. And it was what it said it was doing. I was literally just removing one of the steps, which was PNG to binary files. On the ESP32, it would run through it. It would export to a CSV file on the SD card, and then I could run that through an analysis engine. And like Shami said, I used an LLM. I put my CSV file through this, and I said, "This is what I'd done. Please tell me something really interesting about it." And it did. It found. So I could go on mute if you're not on mute, please. So I ran it through an LLM, and it actually found similarities and disparities, and it gave me some really good information. Now, what I'd found was as I could shrink these models down, remember I said earlier I'd use Jupyter Labs to automate everything I could do. I'd put in a size. So here we can see on the right hand side we've got a graph, and the sizes are going down 64 by 64. That's the size of the image, and I'm reducing it down 32, 16, and an 8. And I would just tell Jupyter Notepad to resize everything to 64 by 64, train, export, load onto the ESP32, and then would run it. And then I'd do it again for the 32 by 32, again for the 16, 16, etc., etc. On the left-hand side, you can see a serial output of the ESP32, and it actually says that the malware that is called vb.at, it's a binary file. It came into the first class. It predicted it with 99.84%, which I'm really, really happy about. So then I needed to go, well, actually, where is my sweet spot? I want to get this down to be as quick as I can, but with the least amount of errors. And it actually turns out in this experiment, if you reduce your images down to 32 by 32 bits, and you can see in the line graph that the accuracy is above 80%, but the size of the images is a lot smaller, and therefore the inference time is a lot smaller as well. So this seems to be a nice sweet spot. But I'd also found the AI engine wouldn't always get it 100%. It wouldn't always get it in the top prediction. It might be in the top 3 predictions. And I thought, okay, so if we used 32 by 32, we're going to get above 80%, but we'd still have a few outliers. You know, it's like, not sure what you are. Are you actually malware? You're in my top 3. I might need to think about this. So this is where my future research is going to come into. If it predicts everything 100% on these ESP32s, you can see like the chassis of the car here. So we've got like sensors all around the car with the Raspberry Pi in the middle. If they all predict 100%, brilliant. We know it's malware. We'll just deal with it. If it comes in the top 80% and it's in the top 3 classes, top 3 predictions, we're not sure. We cannot be 100% sure or even 99% sure that this is malware. Why don't we send this information to the Raspberry Pi, which we know can then do 100% checking on it? The reason I want to go down this route is we can have a number of these ESP32 nodes. They're absolutely tiny. You saw from the image earlier that it's about the size of a thumbnail. The power consumption is minimal, and it's far better to have 50, 60, 70, 80 of these ESP32s dotted around our chassis of our vehicle than a number of Raspberry Pis, because of the real estate that it is, the cost that's involved, the power consumption. So this is where I want to take my research to later, to see if this is actually a feasible option of being able to have these ESP32s either 100% classify malware, and if it's not sure, to send it to a Raspberry Pi, which can then do secondary inspection. And I believe, Chami, that is the end of my presentation. I don't know how quick I did that. Oh, got far off my time.
You did well. Well done, Phil. Sujata, we are open for a few questions, and of course, we are available offline if you want a bit more clarification on any aspects we discuss.
Thank you, sir. Participants, is there any query? You can unmute yourself and ask the query.
And at the end, we
Any
can
query?
all can switch on our cameras and take a nice picture. Phil will be happy as well.
Okay, there doesn't seem to be any questions for me. I just want to say thank you very much for letting me speak to you today. And if you do have any questions, please obviously reach out either direct to me or Chami. And hopefully this has been inspirational for you all.
Thank you, Phil. I'll wait a few more minutes as well, Phil, if there's any question.
Participants, you are free to ask a question. Unmute yourself and ask the question.
Sir, I have a question for you.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Mr. Stedman, right? I hope I'm spelling it correct, right? Okay.
Spot on.
You said that you have converted, the PNG file you didn't disturb, but some of the files you converted back to binary and kept it on the SD card itself. Am I right?
Yes.
Did I get that correct? Yeah. Okay. So that's because it doesn't, does the repetitive iterative method properly, and it doesn't somehow respond. How did you get to know this fact that processing into binary is helping and the overall processing speed is better?
Right. Okay. So it was mentioned in a number of papers. Say a number, one or two papers I'd read that someone else had done it. And I thought actually that's not a bad shout. And also when I was looking at the ESP32s as well and how they would process a PNG file, it said we take the PNG, we convert it to a binary, and then we do X with it. I thought, well, actually, why don't I just take that step out of it? I'm just using code. I just converted it. And it was a very simple Python bit of code that took the PNG in and splurted out the binary files.
No, that methodology I'm pretty much okay with. Definitely have moved a little bit divine because you don't want to overload the entire system and you want to process it parallel. That's what the intention I think it is there to do that, to process convert some of the files into binary and then keep it on the SD card itself. However, if I'm thinking that if we convert the whole overall system to the same methodology and increase the processing capacity and maybe the RAM itself, won't that give us the much more desired and optimal results rather than going by a divine method?
It could do. Now, the counter argument to that would be is when we get a malware executable, we have to convert it to imagery because we're using a convoluted neural network.
Of course.
Then we'd have to convert it again to binary before we process it, which the Raspberry Pi and the RISC-V board does as part of its TensorFlow or the ONNX file. The additional step was because the ESP32 was going to struggle. We could do that on the Raspberry Pi. It's just a change in the code, but we had to do that anyway. So I thought we weren't gaining a great deal out of converting it beforehand rather than converting it as part of the process. But it's definitely something that would be interesting to know if the inference time of doing it in two stages, converting it to binary, then the classification, rather than the classification converting it to binary. So that's a really interesting question, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. But the reason why I asked is because I've worked on a model. I've created one more. I'm an image processing and denoising expert. That's my area of expertise. So when I go on to process and I have to deal with a lot of amount of images, as you know, in terms of the image denoising, and a lot of noise do enter into the entire system, which we have to isolate. And there are a couple of Gaussian noise, salt and pepper, variant types of noises are there. So in order like just I have also applied multiple various parallel methods, but the end results didn't come in the way how it is expected. So SNR, which is signal to noise ratio, was horribly better. I would say the reason why I said horribly, because even though I got the desired result, but the overall response wasn't the one what we were expecting. So the quality physically was really in very bad shape. So that's wherein I got to know that no, this alternate method doesn't work with my overall image processing system. That's why that question which I asked to you was only because that, just to keep the sanctity of the overall research in depth. That's why. Thank you so much. Anyways.
No, thank you. And actually, last year, as part of my end of year report presentation, I said that I wanted to look at how these models could be confused by I can't remember what the term is now. But that would be my next piece of research, where the image is almost altered. Like you could put a scratch down an image, and the human eye would still recognize it, but an AI engine goes, "Well, hang on, what's all that?" I can't remember what it's called now.
That's true. Thank you so much. Anyways.
Thank you.
Sujata, if you don't have any questions, so please share our email address with the participants if they have any questions. So we are happy to answer later on as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So thank you very much, sir. I thank Dr. Jamindra Havaji, sir, and also Mr. Philip Stedman for sharing your expertise. I hope the topics are discussed on cybersecurity and also the different types of cyber attacks, and also the research work done by Mr. Philip Stedman using deep learning on malware classification, and also he has used different IoT devices such as Raspberry Pi and also Orange Pi. I hope the participants has gained more insights on based on your session, sir. So thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and also giving a wonderful session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Bye.
Thank you, sir. The next session will be by Mr. Gopala Krishna Kakunji, who will be delivering a session based on his industrial perspective on IoT device, means IoT. And the session will start at 7:30. So I think the participants can rejoin at 7:30, or you can stay in online. Thank you. And on